If you use Go High Level for your funnels, then check out those custom effects that are gonna make your funnels stand out. Okay, so let's get started. So in this video, I will show you 5 simple effects to make your funnel, Go High Level's funnel, stand out a bit more. So we are gonna cover gradient backgrounds, we are gonna cover glows, we are gonna cover gradient headlines, gradient buttons, and simple countdown animation. And let's start with a gradient background. Because I just can't look at this white page any longer. So first of all, this is just a completely blank page, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a full width section just by dragging and dropping, and I'm gonna add a 1 column row, and I'm gonna set this to probably I can do full height in Go High Level. Let me maybe just sort of put a ridiculous margin to just fill out my page. So let's do 300, and we'll remove it later on. But for now, let's just do 300 for the top padding and 300 for the bottom padding, which is more or less that covers my entire viewport. Okay, and then what I will do is I will click on my section and I will go to advanced, and I will give it a custom class. So you could technically use CSS selectors, and CSS selector is going to be unique for each element on your page. And that's the problem, because if you create 10 different headlines, each headline will have a different CSS selector. And if you want to use CSS selectors in your CSS, you will have to, in your code, you will have to apply that effect to each CSS selector individually. And it's just a pain in the ass. If you want to make sure that you can apply the same effect to all of your headlines or all of your buttons all at once, you just apply a custom class. So because in my class, I use a specific, because in my notes, I use a specific class for my background, which is back G. I'm just gonna copy this and paste it right here and enter. Okay, so the custom class for my background is gonna be back G. And then I go to custom CSS, and I will just copy and paste this code right here, and you can access all of those codes in the description below. And once I apply the effect, I will show you how to customize it. So what it's basically gonna do is it's gonna apply this nice sort of like well, it says right here, it's gonna apply a radial gradient to my background. So instead of displaying just a plain background, just sort of like the one you can see right here, it's gonna have some depth to it. It's gonna be a bit more interesting, right? And it's also gonna have this nice purple color or dark blue color. And I'm not sure what the error is, but I'm just gonna click on save, and boom. See? It looks a bit more interesting than just a plain background, because it's a lot darker closer to the edges, and it's lighter sort of in the center. What you can do if you want to change this background to something else, I will show you a cool website. Okay, so there is this website called UI Gradients, and you can sort of go to show all gradients, and you can sort of browse different effects right here. So I'm just gonna select something that's very different, like for example this one, in order to show you how to customize your background, right? So we go to custom CSS. And one thing to note is I currently have a radial background, which means that I will have one color in the center and another color close to the edges. This gradient is a linear gradient, which basically means that you will have one color on the left side, the other color on the right side, and you could technically also have a third color in the middle. So that's called a linear background. I actually like to use my God, what's the word? Radial gradients for backgrounds, and it just looks nicer for backgrounds in my opinion. I like to use linear backgrounds for buttons or headlines, but it doesn't really matter. I will still be able to get my point across with this one. So I will select this value, and this will be my middle value, and custom CSS, and it's gonna be so middle is this one right here, and the color on the outside will be this sort of red color, and it will be right here. Okay, and then save, and boom. Okay, it obviously looks bad, but you can see right now, you can clearly see this effect in action. We have green in the middle and red on the edges, and you can play around with it. I sort of liked my previous background a lot more, so let me grab the values again, and I can actually copy this entire thing. Now I'm applying this background to literally my website background, but you can also do custom background for different section. So you could also go to this, this column right here, go to advanced, give it a class, and apply a different background for this column specifically. Okay, so that was my gradient background. Now before we go to the glow, let's do gradient headline. So I will just add a headline right here. And I'm gonna use custom font, and I'm gonna do, let's say this one. It's a nice headline font. For now, I'm just gonna give it a blue color so that I can clearly see, and I'm gonna give it like 55 pixel and maybe like 65 pixel, and I'm gonna keep the padding as is. Obviously for a real page it will be closer to the top side. But for now this is fine. And what we want to do now is grab this code right here, and as you can see, I called my headline hero H, which stands for hero headline, which is usually the top headline. So I have to now give this a class of exactly hero H. It needs to be exactly that. And then custom CSS, and I'm gonna create an empty line and paste it here and save. And it didn't work, so let me troubleshoot this. So with Go High Level, very often you will have to look for conflicts. So like, for example, sometimes the settings right here may overwrite your code or the other way around. So let me pause this video and figure this out. Okay, so because sometimes the preview editor does not load CSS correctly, especially if you start doing some custom code, it's not visible in the editor. But when you display your page in your browser, it's working correctly. So just add this code and click on preview, or save the page, publish to a domain, and open your domain. And as you can see, it works correctly, and it actually goes. It fits really nicely with this background. So we have, for this headline, we have a light orange at the top, and we have darker orange at the bottom. And if you wanted to customize it, you'd go to custom CSS, and let's continue using this example. So let me do green at the top and red at the bottom. So, and you may have noticed we have percentages here, which I will talk about in a second. And this basically means that we do a sort of a top to bottom gradient, because you could also have left to right or bottom to top or at an angle. So this one is top to bottom, and this says where it basically starts. So basically this code tells the browser that you want this specific color to start at the very top of the text and this specific color at the very bottom of the text. So that was our headline, right? Let me just expand this. So that was so we've covered the gradient background, we've covered the gradient headline. Now let's do some effects to our button. And I've already created a button. I've already prepared code for a button right here. So let me first create a button element. Okay, and I'm gonna add 40 top margin so that it's clearly separated from my headline, and I have some breathing space. And the class, so right here it's just button. So I called my button. So what is it? Advanced, custom class, and it's gonna be button. Okay, and now custom CSS, and I'm gonna copy. Well, let's do this one first, and this will have two parts. First, we are gonna style this button, and then we are gonna add a slide effect. Okay. So first of all, we have a green button, and we're gonna change the color. Okay, and again, we are gonna apply a linear gradient. So we had radial gradient for the background, and we had linear gradient for our button and our headline. And as you can see right here, it's pretty like self-explanatory. The linear background is gonna go to right, and it's gonna apply this color at the beginning and this color towards the end. And this transition applies to this animation that will apply in a second. But for now, this is the relevant part. Okay, so save. And as you can see, we have this nice smooth gradient effect. 1 second. Okay, and it would look even better with I just can't help myself, and I have to style it a bit more. So let's do dark font, and let's increase the font weight. So let's say like 600, and it already looks much better. And let's round the edges just slightly. So let's do full border, 1 pixel. Transparent border, because it's not the border that we want, it's the radius. And let's do 5 pixels. And now it's nicely rounded on the edges, so it looks good. However, we can do a lot more. Let me capitalize the letters. So text transform, capitalize, actually uppercase, sorry. And maybe let's try to increase the font weight. Not too much. Yeah, like this. And also let's do some left and right padding. So let's do 35 on the left, 35 on the right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but it looks pretty nice already. And what we can do now is we can add a on hover effect, so that when I hover my mouse on it, it's gonna apply an effect. Okay, so let's go to custom CSS, and this time let's copy this part and paste it here. So on hover, it's gonna sort of animate the button background. So save, and I don't even need to preview. As you can see, when I hover, it changes the color. I'm gonna preview anyway, so that you can see the button without those editing borders. So as you can see, it's a pretty nice animation, and you could also apply some like a glow effect, which we'll do in a second. Yeah, so let me pause this video and actually I will use a video for the glow effect. So let's do the video. And let's add some breathing space. So let's do 20 at the top and 20 at the bottom. And let me decrease the width of this section so that it's not as big. So let me select the section, which is the blue element, and change the width to like, let's do like 75%. Okay. And what I will do is I will apply a gradient background. Or actually, instead of a gradient background, I will just apply a glow effect. So we will cover this glow point right here, which will be almost the last animation. So 1 sec. Okay, with the glow effect, I actually figured out you can do this with built-in Go high-level settings without the need to code. So you can apply a box shadow, and I'm just gonna do 0 for the x-axis, 0 for the y-axis. And I'm gonna do something ridiculously big for the blur, like 150 pixels. And I'm gonna decrease the spread to like -50. So I want a big blur, but I don't want the blur to be like, I want it to be slightly hidden below the video, so that all I can see is the edges of the blur, right? Hopefully that makes sense. And I'm gonna paste this orange color to stay consistent. And I need to paste it here. Okay, might even be too strong. So let's see. Let me try to remove this blur, decrease the blur. No, it's actually a bad idea. I want to 150 pixels for the blur, and let's do 70 minus 70 for the spread. Minus 70 minus 80. Actually 70 was better, but you get the point. You can play around with those settings here, and let's see how it looks in my browser. One sec. Okay, I set the blur to, I set the spread to minus 50 pixels, and I also increased the top and bottom padding, and I set it to 20 pixels. And I like it already. The one thing that I don't like is the padding created by the video, because it creates this weird border that I do not want. So I'm just gonna replace the padding with margin. So I'm gonna set this to 0, set this to 40, set this to 0, this to 40, this to 0, and this to actually can stay 0, and see how it looks right now. And I'm not gonna spend too much time on it. Obviously, you know, you could spend a lot more time customizing your funnel, but I think it looks pretty nice already. The one thing that I didn't like is that this button is currently inconsistent with this headline, because this headline has this nice gradient effect and this button does not. Actually it does, but it's very subtle. So maybe I would, like right now the left side of the button is slightly like orangish and the right side is yellow. And I think that I would like this effect to be a bit more visible so that it's a bit more consistent with the headline. But anyway, it looks pretty nice as it currently is. And it's just an easy way to make your funnel stand out a bit more. There is one last effect that I want to show, which is like a nice countdown timer. So I'm just gonna quickly build it, and I will show you how it looks and how you can do the same. Okay, so here is the effect. So if I refresh this, this is just like a countdown. Actually, no, it's not a countdown, but it's like a sort of like an animation that's often people use on their website to sort of like display credibility. So they would have one column where it would start counting from 0 to like 100, and it would say, you know, used by 100 clients worldwide, or it would start counting from 1 to 10. It would say 10 years of experience, or 50 team members, or something along those lines. So it's a very common effect, and it's very easy to build. So let's do this very quickly. So I just created 3 columns, so one section with 3 columns, and in each column I want you to add a code element. So type in code and select this code element, and one more right here, and let's just copy and paste the code from the description. And actually we can skip this part, and the reason why is because this Fiala one is a built-in font in Go High Level. So I initially imported this, but there is no need. So let me just delete this. It should be good. So I know it's a big block of text, but there are only a few things that you can customize here, and it's actually very, very easy. So first of all, let me just copy this and paste it right here, save, and paste it right here and save. And let's see how it looks right now. So let's preview. And if we scroll down, actually it does not work, so one sec. Okay, I know what's wrong. So currently only one is animating, and the reason why is because they need to have a unique ID. So the first one is currently working, and the second one, let's say we want to, first of all, we'll give it the, we'll change the ID, so it's counter 2, not counter 1. The start number, which is the initial number, will be 0, and we're gonna say something like years of experience, right? And we are gonna count up to, let's say, 10. So where is it? So we're gonna count up to, so the first counter stays as is. It's gonna count up to 100 in 0.5 seconds, right? So those are like milliseconds. Counter T will count up to 10, in the same amount of time. So again, it's gonna take 1.5 seconds to get to 10, and the third counter will count to 20 million in 2.5 seconds, right? So it's gonna be like slightly longer. Or actually, to keep things interesting, let's do 2 seconds here. So 0.5 seconds for the first counter, 2 seconds for the second one, and 2.5 seconds for the third one. So we can save the, this is the middle column. Within the first column, I want to change one thing, which is the text. And I'm gonna change it to, let's say, this is 100, so like clients served worldwide. One sec. Or let's just do client served. Okay. Save. And in the third one, we are going to do, and actually I made a mistake because this needs to be consistent in all 3 blocks, right? So let me just go to the middle one. So hopefully I'm not making this too confusing. In the description below this video, it will be correct. Okay, so let me just copy this from here and apply the same thing to the first counter right here. Okay, and also this needs to be, have the ID of 1, so it needs to be counter 1, which is correct. This one needs to be counter 2, so just double checking. It's counter 2, it's correct. And the last one needs to be counter 3. Okay, they basically cannot have the same ID. And we are gonna say, so it's 20 million, so like revenue generated for clients or something like this, right? And paste it here. So save. And let's preview, let's see how it works. Let's see if it even works. Awesome. Yeah, I think this one could have been a bit faster, but you get the point and you know how to customize it. Okay, so that's it for the custom elements. And I'm sure you could make your funnel look a lot better, a bit more interesting with those custom elements. And not only that, but I'm pretty sure you would also be able to increase your conversion rate if you use those custom elements in a smart way to make certain elements stand out. So like, for example, obviously video is a very important element on your website, and most likely you when you have a video, you pretty much always want people to watch that video, right? So if you add a border or like a glow effect behind that video, it's gonna make that element stand out, and therefore it's gonna make it more likely for people to click on that video and actually watch it, which is therefore gonna increase the conversion rate in your funnel. So it's not just, you know, stupid, it's to increase your conversion rate. Same for the headline. So let's say you had a let's say you had much more text within your headline, right? So let's say you had 2 lines of text, and let's say you wanna bold certain elements. And to get my point across, let me actually use a real example. Okay, so I created a long headline and it doesn't look good right now, and also it has no visual hierarchy. So if you are looking at this headline, you would have to sort of read the entire headline in order to understand what it's about. And it's not a good thing from a copywriting standpoint. You want certain elements to stand out. Let's say you want people to notice 100 plus qualified appointments every month as the very first thing of landing on your landing page. So this is something that you can do when you have longer headlines and you want a bit more clarity and a bit more visual hierarchy to make it easier to consume and therefore to increase conversion rate. So let's say I want to change the color for this part or for the rest of it and leave this one with this gradient effect. So what I'm gonna do now is, so currently my text is not set as bold, right? And let me go to custom CSS. So this is my headline, and I'm gonna apply this gradient gradient effect to only bolded elements or to only certain elements. And I will show you what I mean in a second. So I'm gonna do space. I'm gonna do shrunk and save it. And right now, as you can see, it's now white, and we had this gradient effect, it's now white. And the reason why is because with this code, we are telling the browser that only bolded words or bolded letters should have this effect. And right now, nothing is bolded, right? So let me select 100 plus qualified appointments every month and click on this B, right? And see, right now it's a lot easier to read. So yeah, you can play around with it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much.